Welcome to the Intercut podcast, the weekly show going over the movies, TV, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I'm your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, my Canadian Sherpa, it's Amanda the Jedi. What's
Thank
going
you
on,
so much for
Amanda?
having me. Not too much, just getting the festival atmosphere, the
Yeah,
vibes, you know?
getting in the festival spirit. I get that. I get that. It
Yeah.
is fall festival season in Movieville. A lot of
hmm
really exciting premieres around the corner. Unfortunately, we're not joined by Arturo this week. He went to the island from Don't Blink, and he's fine, but he did come back with some allergies. So we'll see him on the show next week. But we are bringing in Amanda, our resident Canadian, to help guide us through the offerings from TIFF 2024. Another Toronto Film Festival is right around the corner. It's really exciting. A lot of world premieres, North American premieres, Canadian premieres, just movies in general from people that we love. We'll finally get it in front of the eyes of audiences very, very soon. There are a lot of movies that we're really excited to talk about, to catch. We haven't had the chance to see many of these yet, but we will report back with lots of findings. But Amanda, heading into another Toronto International Film Festival, how are you feeling about the slate this year now that we know the full slate of movies we're getting? Do you think we're in for another classic like TIFF 2019, or are you still kind of figuring out what the movies are that you're really, really excited for?
I don't see 2019 was just so
That
much.
was
It had
a
a little bit
magic
of
year.
everything. It had
Mhm.
some good horror, it had good gut punches, it had good big premieres that came out like before not regular, but like the rest of the world got to see them. It was just this perfect little nugget. But this one, it does seem promising. There's some standouts that have been getting a lot of buzz coming out of the Cannes Film Festival. Like, I'm really looking forward to Anora. I'm looking forward to whatever experience Megalopolis is going to be. The Substance is one that I was really trying to make sure I got on my schedule ahead of time, and we're good to go there.
Mhm.
So there's like a lot of interesting stuff from nothing super super big this year, I find. None of those real like those like Joker type like premieres that's
Right.
basically almost simultaneously releasing at the same time, unless I'm not missing something. But yeah, it's like a little bit weird on that front, but that's not why you go to film festivals, to see the stuff that's going to
Exactly.
come out in a week. You're there to catch maybe some of these smaller, funner things that might slip by. So it looks good for that.
Definitely. I don't know if any of these movies is gonna like break the internet or anything like that, but there are a lot of just like really interesting new films from interesting filmmakers. A lot of actors that we love are getting showcased in these projects. I would say that there's not really like a lot of movies here that are like a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 on my like anticipation meter or whatever to be named later. But there's like a lot of stuff that maybe is like that in that 7 or 8 out of 10 range where like my interest
Mm,
is very peaked and I'm open to like having this movie catch me by surprise and be
yeah.
something that I love. But there's just a lot of solidly interesting things in this lineup. So
hmm
I do want to start out by sharing some of the films that I'm most anticipating from the festival. And I'm going to start out with number 10 for me is The Fire Inside. I don't know if you've heard much about this movie at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so this is the directorial debut from Rachel Morrison, who, if you look at her letterbox, you'll see there's not a lot of director credits there. She did the like Netflix COVID isolation series thing,
Oh,
if you
okay.
remember Homemade,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
she's really made her name is as a cinematographer. She's
Hmm.
worked on Black Panther. She's worked on Fruitvale Station. She works with Ryan Coogler a lot. She also did Nope
Oh,
and Mudbound. She's worked pretty solidly
yeah.
as a cinematographer on some really exciting movies over the years. So I'm really excited to see what she has in store in the director's chair. She's also got a script written by none other than Barry Jenkins for this one. So
Ooh.
interesting talent behind the camera, some interesting talent in front of the camera as well. In that Brian Tyree Henry, I believe, is playing the sort of boxing coach in this movie, which
We love
should be an
him.
interesting role for a guy like Brian Tyree Henry. So yeah,
Mhm.
just a lot of people who I can see them putting together a really interesting movie.
Yeah. Do you think Barry had to kick it down the line for someone else to direct because he was a little bit too busy with the artistic nature of Mufasa?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just couldn't say no to that Disney bag and gave it to someone he trusted. I don't know, but I wonder how closely this will hew to what we expect from Barry Jenkins, or if this is him sort of doing something a little bit different since he isn't the one that's ultimately going to direct this one.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Number 9 on my list, I've got We Live in Time. Are you curious about this one with Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield?
I am, and I don't know if it's because I think the movie's going to be good or if it's just because I love them so much. I don't even think I've looked at the premise because I'm like, I'm going to see it because of who's in it. So it's fun to just kind of experience things. But you tell, why are you excited about it, Zach? Because I have one reason behind me why I might be excited for it, but
yeah, I can understand your excitement for it, and I also am generally excited to see Andrew Garfield on screen, Florence Pugh on screen. The promise of them together in a film that is like romantically tinged. It's promising. There's promise.
And there's the horse,
right? Good looking horse, very very funny horse.
Yeah.
This is a film directed by John Crowley, who, while I wouldn't say that every film he's made has been a success, people really love his work on Brooklyn. I really love Brooklyn as well. I also really liked Boy A. So I think there's some promise there. Like he's a guy who can work in terms of the romance genre. I know there is a trailer out for this one. I haven't seen it because I've talked about it in the past with these festival movies. Like once I'm in, I kind of don't want to know any more information. That's enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful for this one. Although, I saw people saying that some people were hoping it was a potential Oscar movie, and I'm seeing a lot less discussion about that post trailer drop. I hope that doesn't mean people think it's going to be bad, just not necessarily like Academy tastes.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Number 8. I had to put it on the list. I've got Megalopolis.
Of course.
Look, Ewan joined us on this show after Con to say that this was a complete disaster. One of the worst movies he's seen at a Con film festival.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm totally prepared for that to be the case. I don't need this movie to be good.
Yeah.
But I do need to see this movie.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola has dropped like 9 figures of wine money on getting this thing made. It's got like an incredible laundry list of talent attached to it. The reactions are just all over to this the place for this one.
It's this year's Harmony Korine.
Yes. What was the Harmony Korine one last year?
Aggro Drift. Yeah.
Like where it's not even necessarily that you want to see it because you think it's going to be great, but you want to see it because what is it? What is going on here?
Exactly.
We didn't talk yet about the controversy around the most recent trailer. Did you follow all that nonsense?
Yes. The fake quotes when it would have taken 20 seconds to find real negative quotes about those movies, and then figuring out that some intern, probably not even an intern, some very reputable ad agency used AI to generate quotes that some were from completely different movies. Some we still don't know where they came from, but they weren't real.
Yeah. If you go to ChatGPT and you compile negative reviews of Coppola's most famous movies from famous critics with annotations, you get something very similar to what they ended up putting in this trailer. So it does seem like this is maybe like a ChatGPT proofread situation with this trailer. But like it sucks because I got hooked on it. I thought it was a pretty funny and bold idea. Yeah, it's a really smart idea because like you don't know the scope, you don't recognize the classic instantly in a lot of cases, right? And Coppola's brought us many classic films, so it's such a smart idea to take negative reviews of his great movies. It's just those reviews didn't exist.
It's true, and I don't know if it's because they just didn't want to do the easy Google and find whatever reviewer that people don't care about versus Roger Ebert. Like you get the big name, but it's like, you could have at least fact checked it. It would have been so easy to fact check it. Like one of them, they're like, this is from a Batman review, which makes way more sense compared to Dracula that it was attached to. But yeah, it kind of adds to mythology of the movie in a way, though,
It
because like
does, though.
they can just re-release the trailer with actual wrong credits now and just have it be a thing. I have no idea. I heard someone say that someone gets on stage during the movie as part of the movie, and I still don't know if that's real.
I know. I need to know so many things about this movie. So
I know.
there's only
Excited.
2 screenings of this
I
at
got a
TIFF
ticket.
this year.
I got a ticket.
Look at you. Look at
But
you.
I was like hounding the TIFF tickets message board for them.
Oh, you
And
bartered for one.
I bartered for one. There's like a whole,
Wow.
there's a Reddit thread called TIFF tickets of people selling. And some people are so nice. They are not looking to make a profit on anything. And then you've got the people that are trying to sell Saturday night tickets for $500. And now they're in my DMs trying to sell them for $170.
Jesus.
No, because it's like, they're just big old scalpers. But yeah. It's a fun world over there, but there are a lot of people that are just like, I just can't fit this in my schedule anymore. Can we trade, or can I just sell for exactly what I bought it for? So, I bought Megalopolis for like $10 more than it would have gone because I just wanted to be nice.
Hey, look, all things considered, $10 is not that bad at the
Not
TIFF,
at
because
all.
people really try to get the most out
They
of you in
do.
the resellers market at TIFF.
Well, I kind of felt bad. I think he realized who I was, and then he kept lowering the price. And I was like, no, you can have the premium tickets did go up this year, so they're like $91
Yes.
to $95. So I paid $100
Yes.
for Megalopolis, and that was very reasonable to me. For a good seat. But yeah,
by
they've
percentage,
gone up.
that's not much of an upmark.
It's
sure.
really not at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, they've gone up like a decent amount this year.
But that is another good tip, though. You, I know, love to surf the Reddit boards of the various film festivals we go to.
I do.
But yeah, for finding last-minute tickets or even recommendations, you feel like Reddit's a good resource?
Yeah. So obviously you got to be careful. You got to, there's a lot of scams. I've reported a lot of people trying to scam. They have been trying to use this new thing called Go Confirm, but that involves giving this like app your ID and a biometric face read. And like, that's not super sketchy, but I just feel weird about doing it. But it is there if you want to take cover. But like, usually a good way to make sure they actually have the ticket is asking if they can take a picture with their phone of the confirmed, maybe with something that says their username in front of it. Cause then it at least proves they have the ticket. Whether or not they send it to you, that's a totally different thing. But I've been lucky so far, but I've had people, they get pretty creative with trying to scam people. They try to make like fake confirmed emails, but they just look different than the ones that TIFF sends out because they're different than the regular Ticketmasters. And that's how they're getting caught up. But yeah, just be careful, be safe, even search the person's username. Because half the time I've been like, this person's scamming. If you just search them on Reddit, every other thing selling tickets is like, this person's a scammer. So, protect yourself. If you can do in-person deals, do those instead. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. I got Anora tickets. I got Substance tickets. I got Megalopolis out of the way I only really overpaid for Anora. And that was just because I was like, I really needed to fit it into the schedule on that day. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see Megalopolis. So it was worth it to me.
I got you.
Yeah.
Nice. We can talk a little bit more about scheduling in a bit as well. But my next most anticipated is Babygirl. This is the new film from Helena Rain, who previously brought us Bodies. And this one stars both Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson, as well as Antonio Banderas. Kidman plays a high-powered CEO who puts her career and family on the line when she begins an affair with a much younger intern. I don't know if you saw the headline making its way around social media today regarding this movie.
Another Nicole Kidman movie where she's like that one?
I believe so. Well, I saw at least the quote where she was like, this is something that should be only seen in home movies or something like that. Like,
okay,
she was already having some like embarrassment about this film.
Oh no. And she was in a MILF movie.
Yeah, right. And I don't think it's like in a embarrassment over the quality of it or anything.
No, but it's how racy
over the eroticism of it. Yeah. Here's the quote. What have I just done? This is something you do and hide in your home videos.
See, that's what Cate Blanchett should have been saying about Borderlands. So this is impressive that this is what we're saying about. Oh my goodness. I was gonna. Yeah, I'm hoping I can get tickets to this one, or at least catch a press screening. But I kind of want the public screening. I want the reaction.
Yeah, you kind of want to see it with the people.
Yeah, I do. I love that. It's a great vibe. Oh my goodness.
I'm very interested to see what's in store because Nicole Kidman, not an actress who is afraid of some racy material, perhaps our like leading starlet in terms of like doing sexually challenging mainstream movies.
So
I don't
very
know.
interesting.
I'm there. I'm there.
I'm there. I don't know why. I know it's Harrison Dickinson. I always think it's Jacob Elordi for some reason.
I mean, it feels like it should be Nicholas Galitzine with the way that
It
he
does.
keeps ending up in these types of movies.
The
Anyway,
boy.
let's talk a little bit about Bring Them Down. Is this one on your radar?
Yes, of course, because it's got our festival favorites.
Yeah.
Very specifically, not even Barry Keoghan, but Christopher Abbott. That is our King of Sundance, our darling. So this one is one of those ones that it is always playing at the same time as another movie I'm trying to see. So I'm still not sure if it's going to be a press screening, if I'm going to be able to get a ticket for it. That's another one. I saw their faces and I was like, I don't even need to look into it. I don't know what it's about, but hopefully it's good. So
exactly.
Yes.
I know at least that there'll be great acting in this movie, so I'm very curious about it. I believe Mubi already has picked this one up, and I generally like the movies that Mubi releases, so I think that's a vote in this movie's favor.
I agree.
I'm like you. I don't really need to know much else other than that, but I'm very curious about it. It is funny though, the way that sometimes movies will have other movies perfectly align with them.
TIFF is the worst for that. 9 times out of 10, when you're like, oh, if I can get the ticket for this day, then I'll see this on this day. But then you're like, okay, well, that other movie's playing at the same time. So if I spend all my time trying to get this movie at this time on this day, and then this one sells out and I still don't get this one, they're still conflicting over here. I know in their mind, they're like, well, if you miss it one day, it's playing at the same time. And it's like, no, that's not right. That's not good. It is usually the thing that annoys me the most about TIFF, because there's very rarely a time where I'm all like, this is perfect. There's no conflict with this movie being right here. And that's probably, it always works out. Like we say this every year, then it always works out, but it doesn't make it any less stressful going into it. Making the schedules a nightmare.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, hopefully it'll work out. I feel like, as you said, it always does end up lining up. Yeah. What else do I have? Okay. My 5th most anticipated movie of TIFF is Conclave. You have Conclave on your list?
It's kind of like swirling up there. I want to say it was, and then it wasn't. And then I saw the trailer. Oddly enough, they played it in French. The trailer was in French before I saw The Crow for some reason. And I was like, okay, I like the energy that it's bringing to the story, because like this is the kind of story it could go either way. It could either be really boring or it could be really energetic. And the trailer is at least trying to present it as energetic. Definitely. So I'm down for it. I like all the actors. Like Ralph Fiennes is fantastic. There's so many solid people in this movie, so I assume it's going to be good. You know?
Yeah. It is the new film from Edward Berger, and that is the director behind All Quiet on the Western Front, which got a lot of Netflix, or a lot of Oscar nominations for Netflix a couple years ago. Can't say I was like a huge fan of that movie. I thought it was solid. But this one, the premise really intrigues me about this idea of like the Cardinals having to search for a new pope. And, you know, giving it sort of the veneer of kind of like a thriller. It just sounds exciting. Plus, as you mentioned, Ralph Fiennes in the lead of a movie is very promising. You got people like Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini surrounding them. I think we're in for a pretty interesting film.
I agree.
Yeah. Do you have The Luckiest Man in America on your list?
Yes, that is one of those ones that, again, scheduling is looking a little weird on it. But yeah, I am. I can't remember his name right now.
Paul Walter Hauser?
Yes, Walter Hauser.
My guy.
He's great. So I think it'll be good. It looks like I saw just like the promo image, and it's got a good, you know, aesthetic vibe to it. So I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, so this is one of the movies that is premiering on the very first night of TIFF. It's sort of playing opposite the second screening of Nutcrackers, which I'm not going to mention, but is another movie I'm excited about. But this one, Press Your Luck, is, as we mentioned, stars Paul Walter Hauser in the story about a pretty infamous game show Scandal. I don't know if you were like a game show kid growing up. Like I loved watching game shows when I was homesick. That was my like thing that I occupied my time with.
I
And
was
I
a judge
always
show kid.
I get it. Those
Yeah.
are fun too. But I did really love Press Your Luck,
Nice.
the show where whammies would come and steal all your money. And so I was
Wow.
very interested in this story about this
Ooh.
guy who kind of hacked the game show and figured out there was sort of a pattern to how it worked and was able to make like a record amount of money off of it.
Oh,
So
that's
this
fun.
is the story that's getting adapted, and it'll star Paul Walter Hauser in that lead role.
Nice.
We've seen him in true life stories like I, Tonya before.
Mhm.
I think he'll bring a lot to it. It's an interesting story, and I'm excited to see him in that kind of part.
Yeah, just a lot of random actors in this one, like Johnny Knoxville, Maisie Williams. That's who I think it is, right? Yeah. Game of Thrones girl.
Shamir Anderson, Patty
Harrison,
Harrison, whom I love.
Yeah.
So
Walton
I'm hoping
Goggins,
this one's going to be pretty fun as well.
I agree.
All right.
Looking forward to that one.
My number 3 selection is Nightbitch. This is the latest from Marielle Heller. And this is also the new Amy Adams movie. And there's a lot of sort of like energy swirling around Amy Adams. They're giving her a big award at this festival, which usually coincides with that actor later going on to get nominated, at least, if not win an Oscar. And there's, just sort of been like a years long internet campaign to get Amy Adams an Oscar. Finally, one of our great actresses who still remains without a statuette of her own.
What would you give her the Oscar for? Just out of curiosity.
I don't think she even got nominated for Arrival, but that's probably my standout Amy Adams performance.
Yes, that makes sense.
And I think Enchanted, she's also pretty incredible in, and it has sort of, it's a type of performance that a lot of people have borrowed from in the years since then.
True.
Yeah. Nightbitch is going to be an interesting undertaking. I have read this book. And
it's a book.
It is based on a book.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is based on a book that is sort of about the trials of motherhood and the indignities and various sort of frustrations with it, and also just these kind of like animal instincts that sometimes we deny and sometimes we can play into. And I think I found it to be really charming. I think it covers terrain that will feel familiar, but I think it has like a solid voice. And I would expect a director like Marielle Heller, who has made a lot of movies I really like, with stuff like The Diary of a Teenage Girl, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Can You Ever Forgive Me? I'd expect her to bring the most out of that material, as well as an actor like Amy Adams. So while I could see some being skeptical around a story like this, around a mother who may be turning into a dog at night, I kind of have some hope here.
Me too. I think this is one of the ones that, even just based on the title alone, is getting a lot of buzz around it.
Yeah.
They clearly, they want people to see it. There are so many screenings of this movie. There's 2 press screenings, like 4 or 5 public screenings. So like they want people to be able to see this. So I hope that means they're confident in it. But also know that like we have to give people the opportunity to see it, so maybe it can do more in the long run. But like, will a movie called Nightbitch ever be nominated for an Oscar? Will they do that?
We will see. I mean, they're definitely, with that many screenings, putting in a play to potentially win the People's Choice Award or something. So hopefully
they want
it'll
something.
Be good.
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 film is The Last Showgirl. This is the new film from director Gia Coppola. So 2 Coppolas on my top 10 here. But it is also somewhat of a comeback role for Pamela Anderson, who plays the lead part. Not exactly a person who has like an illustrious film career behind her for various reasons, but has been sort of like in a interesting like late career period. I know she was doing some work on Broadway recently in Chicago. She had a role in Chicago. And the buzz around this movie seems pretty interesting. Following someone who's been working as a dancer for many years and sort of feels like they're at the end of that calling. Around Pamela Anderson, there's Kiernan Shipka, Jamie Lee Curtis, Dave Bautista, who I love. So I'm very curious and hopeful for this one.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's definitely on my list as well. Yeah, Pamela Anderson's always kind of just, other than she's really just known for being herself. So it's
Right.
interesting to see her maybe get an opportunity to be just something more, kind of that shift in perspective type of performance, and hopefully that's what this movie ends up being. So really hoping I can get that in on my schedule.
Definitely. I wonder if this is also going to be something akin to like Jennifer Lopez in Hustlers, where maybe the
That's
character
what I was
isn't
thinking.
exactly like a direct parallel, but there still are elements of their personal stories that they can channel through these types of characters.
Yeah. Unrelated, Ben Affleck will not be attending TIFF. It will just be Jennifer and Matt.
Unfortunately, yeah. Does he have a movie here? I don't think he has a movie here this year.
No, there's a movie that they produced, all three of them. All three of them are involved
Oh.
in a movie, so he's specifically not coming.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Pamela Anderson, a fellow Canadian.
Oh, I did not know that, actually.
Yeah.
Look at us go.
Yeah.
Look at us. Huh. Nice.
All right. Let's talk about my most anticipated of this festival. It is a midnight movie.
Ooh.
It is a comedy.
Ooh.
It is Friendship. And
Yes.
it is mainly because of one man. Tim Robinson is the star
Yes.
of this film, alongside Paul Rudd, whom I love, and Kate Mara, who is also great.
Yeah.
This is a film that comes to us from Andrew DeYoung, who has worked on a lot of things that I find pretty funny, including some work with John Early and Kate Berlant. I believe he's done some TV that I'm failing to remember right now, but that I found funny as well. But this is a story about a guy who is trying to make a friend, and they have it scheduled for a midnight premiere, which means that you're in for some like wild adventures at the very least. I don't know. From all the midnight movies, this is the one that stood out the most to me. And Midnight at Toronto tends to be a pretty like raucous, rowdy, wild, fun time. So I don't know. I mean, I need to see this movie in Toronto, and I really, really want to get into that midnight screening, even though I didn't pick up a ticket for it because it sold out too fast.
Yeah, but I feel like it won't, because I feel like Pearl was sold out, and then suddenly like Karsten's pegging off of tickets to me, and there's no one sitting near me at all.
Yeah, so that's a thing that we could also mention, is that public tickets went on sale today. So you'll likely see that a lot of the premium and exciting screenings say they're sold out. They're not sold out yet. There are a lot of tickets being reserved for press like us, people who are friends and family of the filmmakers, things like that. So those tickets are going to be released in sort of batches as we get closer to the film festival, with the last batch happening at 8 a.m. the morning of those screenings. So if you are desperate to get in,
7 or 8?
I think it's 8 a.m. It might be.
I think it's 8, but I saw someone say 7, but I think it's 8. But just to be safe.
Might be worth checking. But
worth checking.
Yeah, if you are absolutely desperate, you can keep a little bit of hope up until the last moments. So worth checking back. I will definitely continue checking back with Friendship because I really want to see this one. But yeah, I don't know if there's any movies that we should hit that you are particularly excited about that I didn't mention.
Yeah, there's a couple. I'm looking forward to Heretic, the horror with Hugh Grant and Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets, and I'm not sure who. I feel like Chloe East looked familiar. Oh, she's in True Blood. She's been in True Blood. Okay. That looks good to me.
Apparently.
Yeah, that one looks really good to me. That is one that I'm gonna have to catch at a press screening because it is playing at the same time as Anora and Megalopolis, which is just annoying.
Yeah, so that was one that I'm excited for it. It's going to be like a mainstream released movie, and you mentioned sometimes those movies like they do like a week before they come out. Like I remember Bros played at Toronto like right before it came out. The Equalizer did one. Like as you just mentioned, this one's actually not out until November, which
November
is
8th,
still like you still get to catch this one 2.5 months early. So
that's
a nice advantage or early screening for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I'm also looking forward to checking out The Life of Chuck, which is by Mike Flanagan. It's based on a Stephen King novella. I'm interested to see him tackle something that's not a horror. He can do it, obviously, because he does a lot of he puts a lot of stuff that's not horror related into his adaptations, but this one's kind of completely outside that. We got Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Karen Gillan. Kind of just seems like a not a greatest hits thing, but just kind of like I have friends who will make a movie with me, so I'm interested to check it out. Hopefully it'll be
I didn't
good.
realize that it actually isn't a horror despite being based on Stephen King.
And Mike Flanagan, the combination together makes you think it should be, but and it's even, and I'm pretty sure the collection that it's from was called like If It Bleeds or something. So you'd think that it would be, but it's I think it's
all
more,
the signs point to it.
I know it's more of a drama though, for sure.
Very cool.
Then Queer, which is another Luca Guadagnino. He currently, I think I might have to rethink, but I think his Challengers is still my favorite movie of the year. So interested to see if he can have a twofer in one go.
A lot of people are really anticipating that one, particularly because of that Daniel Craig performance that's going to be in the lead. I think people are anticipating it might be like an Oscar contender, although interestingly, while most of the movies that are like big premieres at TIFF already have distribution, I believe this one still does not.
I don't think so.
It is a sales title, so we're not sure if we're getting this one later this year or not. But yeah, Luca's great, and I also think Challengers might be my favorite movie of the year so far. Queer, like Challengers, is written by Justin Kuritzkis.
Yeah, but I think it's based off of a Burroughs novel.
William S. Burroughs novel, for sure.
Which I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely.
And then was there one more? I think, Relay. Relay is the one that's always conflicting with Bring Them Down or Bring It Down. It's the Riz Ahmed movie. Lily James, Sam Worthington, mostly in it for Riz Ahmed. But it just seems like an interesting story. And I like anything that Riz usually decides to tie himself to. So that one is very exciting to me.
Yeah, this one was on my radar as well. Not one of those ones that maybe like jumps out at you. I also like if I see Riz Ahmed, I'm gonna click and learn more. But this one's directed by David Mackenzie, who made Hell or High Water, which I like quite a bit, and Start Up, which is pretty good. So I'm definitely curious to see this one, and hopefully it delivers despite not being one of the like bigger, splashier titles at TIFF.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's it. Maybe Matt and Mara, which that's again, because of Matt Johnson. I'm just interested, kind of similar to the Tim Robinson thing. It's just kind of like, I like your humor. And if you're acting in it, I'm sure you're going to bring that humor to the movie. So I'm interested to check it out.
Well, Matt, along with Tim Robinson, they just have such unique styles of delivery that it almost promises a certain level of like engagement just on its own. So I'm like you, I'm also curious about a movie that has him in the lead role. Apparently he and the lead actress were previously in a movie together, so this is like a reunion of sorts.
Fun.
Yeah, but there's lots of exciting movies at TIFF this year. You mentioned Anora, which is highly anticipated. You mentioned The Substance as well. Emilia Perez we didn't mention, but that's a film like Nightbitch has like several screenings at
many
TIFF this year.
So I haven't even worried about trying to fit that one in. There'll be time. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Those last three films are all films that I know I'm going to have access to in New York shortly after the festival. So I'm lucky in that, like, I can make my watch list like a little bit shorter in my time in Toronto.
Yeah, no, I screwed myself over this year. I didn't go to con, and half the movies I'm like super excited for were there, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It can be like really tough to ultimately fit all this stuff in, despite having several days to do it. And like us, we have press badges that give us access to the P&I screenings. Toronto just has such a big slate. I believe it's over 100 features, most years, this year included. Are there any smaller films that you're not sure if you're going to have time for them, but you still think they're really interesting and you're going to make sure you catch up with them, even if it's not at TIFF, then at some point? I had Relay on that list.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I probably mentioned a couple. There's another one, All of You with Imogen Poots. That one seemed like it could be interesting.
Yeah, Ted Lasso just got renewed for a new season, and its star, Brett Goldstein, is also a co-star of this film.
Oh, nice. That's very excited. Another one, I saw the in working version, so I am going to see it here. But somebody who helps me edit, who is I would also consider a friend, he and his wife and their business partner, made a movie called "Do I Know You from Somewhere?" And it's Canadian. It's very good. I'd say get a ticket, but apparently it all sold out. But they'll, as we've mentioned, there might be opportunities to see it again. So good for them getting in there. So it's very exciting.
This one had a pretty intriguing premise. I have it on my radar as well. Supposedly it's like about a couple whose history starts to erase itself or whatever.
It's a really...
Go ahead.
You go.
I mean, you've seen it. I was going to say it calls to mind Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't know if I'm completely...
It has a similar... It's a little bit like that, but then it is kind of playing... I know that the multiverse stuff has kind of been done, or like the alternate timeline stuff's kind of all been done to hell, but it has a little bit of that, but it's done in a really unique and interesting way, and how it's kind of like exploring these people's lives and what they've wanted. And the main actress, I think it's Caroline Bell. She is fantastic. She really stood out from this. There's a lot of good, like, smaller parts in this. One of my best friends is actually the wedding planner, so just in the movie, but like Caroline really stood out. So I'm excited to see where they go with their projects from here on out, because it was really well done. So I'm excited to check that out. So if you get a chance to see the premiere, I'm going to be there. So, go watch my friend's movie.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping that one on my radar. I'm also curious about this movie called Sketch. It's about what happens when a young girl's drawings come to life and leave a trail of chaos and destruction where they go. I'm particularly curious about this one because it co-stars Tony Hale, who is in a couple of my favorite TV comedies ever and a bunch of good movies as well as Darcy Carden, who I find hilarious in whatever she shows up in. If you have two extremely funny people and it's the lead in your film, there's a good chance I'm going to find your film funny. I'm curious about that one. I'm curious about Daniela Forever as well. Don't know if this is on your radar, but every year there is kind of like one movie that TIFF gives sort of like a special scientific
it's the same
for.
It's doesn't it have the same name as the one at Sundance?
Is it also Alfred Sloan or Alfred P. Sloan? I'm not.
It might just be Alfred something then. It might not have been Sloan, but it is the same kind of idea though.
Yeah, I'm not positive about that. Apparently, this is this year's recipient because it sort of has this aspect of lucid dreaming to it. I don't know. It sounded pretty intriguing. It comes from director Nacho Vigolanda, who has made some pretty interesting movies. I know people are hit or miss with Colossal. I think Colossal is pretty interesting, and he's done some stuff like in VHS in the horror worlds. This film has a pretty interesting premise in that it's a man who's struggling to come to terms with the death of his girlfriend and then starts, experimenting with lucid dreaming in order to try and reconnect with her. I don't know. Piqued my curiosity.
Same. Yeah, I've got it on my radar. Also, it is the Alfred P. Sloan.
Wow.
It's the same one.
He just loves movies about science stuff.
He does. He must be a science guy. I was also pretty interested by it's called Happy End. It's the Japanese one where it's like a bunch of students kind of like they're kind of struggling with the idea of constantly being surveilled, which just feels relevant. So that one looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull this one up, but there are many movies named Happy End.
It's all one word, if that helps.
Oh, that might actually help. Yeah. Happy End. Boom. I found it. Sharing it. It's on the screen.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't often find much time to watch documentaries when we're at TIFF. I tend to premiere the narratives just because there are so many narratives that are intriguing and it's hard to find time. But there are a couple documentaries that stand out to me. I think the one that perhaps stood out to me the most is The Last Republican. This one is from director Steve Pink, who has not really done documentaries much. He's more of a hot tub time machine guy.
Okay.
And apparently so is Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, because he invited Steve Pink to follow his efforts in trying to hold Donald Trump accountable for January 6th, despite being a Republican congressperson. And it just seems like an interesting clash of ideologies with this left-leaning director, this right-leaning congressman who's also at odds with Donald Trump. I don't know. I find it promising, and that it's all coming from the guy who did Hot Tub Time Machine. I just want to know what's going on there.
Yeah, no, I dig that. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. And I respect that. I respect anybody who's all like, no, that was really fucked up, guys. Like, we can't let that can't slide, you know?
Exactly.
We can't allow, you know? I like that. Respect.
Yeah, so that's definitely a documentary that piqued my interest. So was Vice is Broke, which is from Eddie Wong, the restaurateur and occasional film director. But Eddie Wong also worked for many years at Vice. He did a documentary travel show with them. So what Eddie Wong sort of revisiting an old employer after it's filed for Chapter 11. And, you know, the story of Vice Media is a fascinating one for those who follow different media landscapes. I mean, they were ascendant what feels like maybe 20, 15 years ago and became a dominating force in the world of short documentaries, online documentaries. It feels like they defined a whole style of documentaries in the early 2010s. And since then, the company has sort of dissipated. And while many of the people who worked there have kind of gone on to bigger and better things too, and some of those people have gone on to lead right-wing militias, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with the dissolution of Vice. I'm curious about it. Definitely one of the movies I'm most excited for. I'm also really excited to see what Chase Azarian wants to talk about. What's going on, buddy?
Dude, once Zach gave me a late invite, I made sure to rush home and try and join as fast as I could. So appreciate the invite.
Love it.
I hope I didn't miss too much, but I didn't know the Hot Tub Time Machine guy was making a documentary, so I guess I got
Isn't that great?
on the radar. Yeah,
you got to add it to your schedule. Look,
sure.
we've just been through the movies that I'm most excited about, a few of the movies that Amanda's the most excited about. Talked a little bit about some of our tips for the festival, but nothing too intricate. I know. So Chase is actually attending TIFF for the first time this year.
I'm a noob. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Are there any questions you still have about attending your first TIFF, or they're just movies that you're really anticipating and can't wait to see there?
Well, right now I'm debating if I want to wait 5 hours to see Megalopolis, because I'm like, is this gonna be the worst movie I've ever seen? But I have to see it. I'm trying to find a way to see that, but otherwise, yeah, like I thought based off some previous years, maybe I was expecting something like a Joker 2 to be in here, and that's totally cool that it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's not too many movies where I'm like, this is the movie everyone's been talking about in my casual life. You know what I mean? But there's like Guadagnino has a movie, you know, Sean Baker, like Andrea Arnold, all these people are coming in with a new movie. So it's just a lot of movies I'm really interested in seeing, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple surprises in here. But yeah, overall, just super excited to see as many movies as I humanly can. So yeah.
How many are you fitting in on your TIFF schedule per day?
If everything went according to plan, which it's not going to, I should be fitting somewhere in the 40 range, but we're gonna see how that actually plays out. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So I would highly recommend, if anybody hasn't gotten on TIFF yet, to make it a part of your planning schedule, because the TIFF website itself is dookie. In honor of Amanda, who's going to go see Green Day. It is basically unusable in order to navigate the schedule. If you go to schedule, they just can't find a way where you can see all the things at one time, or everything that's playing in one theater at one time. And then you scroll a little too hard and you accidentally forward the page or back up the page. It is so tough.
I hate that you can't just hover over the movie title and it doesn't like bring up a thing that kind of gives you the general idea of what the movie is. Like you have to actually like open a new tab for everything you're interested in. It's a nightmare.
Not the case for TIFF, the beautiful TIFF, which has all the movies and all the descriptions and all the photos. And if you like go through and you just pick a couple movies and you add them to your short list as the movies you really want to see, this thing is so cool. It will create a plan for you, create a whole schedule for just the movies that you care about. And that is by far the easiest way to make your way through what is like over 100 feature films, plus the shorts programs and stuff like that. I've found this website to be a godsend. And as Amanda mentions, you can just give that a quick little click and get a plot description without leaving your schedule. Right.
Is that so hard? Like,
right? Apparently, I'm honestly surprised because TIFF is not like a new thing. It's been around for several years. I'm really surprised that TIFF hasn't just like tried to acquire them or tried to bring them in, give them a job, something like that. They
just lost Bell as a sponsor, so they probably don't have the money to do that.
It's a good point.
It's just the TIFF Lightbox now.
Who did they end up getting? I think they signed a new sponsorship recently.
Did they? I hope. But the Lightbox is just currently the TIFF Lightbox. Bell is gone.
Rogers is going to become the new
gross
sponsor. So it's going to become the TIFF Rogers Lightbox. How you feel about that, Amanda?
Oh, I hate that. I hate Rogers. Terrible.
Rogers
terrible.
is like
the other telecom. But so is Bell. They're the two. There are two
competing phone conglomerates in Canada. Nice.
Exactly. And they're the red and the bad. So just go over there.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's good that they got a sponsor. That's good. That's good for them.
Chase, so you have the benefit of a press badge for this year's festival, but have you had a chance to pick up some tickets? Because I know tickets are on sale to the public today. I know there's some movies that maybe you didn't want to miss while you're in Toronto.
My life is chaotic, man. I still technically am a Disney employee seasonal, and they called me because they're like, you haven't worked any hours. Like you're so behind. So I had to do a 3-hour random training shift today, and I didn't realize it was the public sale. So I'm texting my sister. I don't talk about her too often. She's probably a bigger movie nerd than me at this point. So I was like, hey, I'm giving you my Ticketmaster, and I'm just texting her back and forth when I'm supposed to be watching all these safety videos of like, oh yeah, if you could get like these midnights is why I hear it's good. So I got a couple. I did overbook an Emilia Perez and the whatever the Strays midnight movie is because I thought a midnight movie would start at midnight. It starts at 11:30. So other than that,
that's so
I know it's at 11:30.
There's one weird or two that start at 11:30 this year. I don't know.
And that's the one I accidentally bought. So I got those. I did secure Saturday night tickets, which I'm very excited about. So that's one thing I know I'll see. Yeah.
Same. I do have one note for you though. Emilia Perez, if you don't care about the Q&A, that runtime, if you're going by if it's overlapping physically on that schedule, is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes of the end of the movie goes into 30 minutes of the beginning of the other movie.
But are you sure it's 30 minutes at the end of the movie and not the Q&A?
Yeah, so
I'm going off of what Tipper says. So I don't know if that makes a difference.
Oh yeah, it's hard to say. Either way, there is a chance that you might be fine. Just check to see on the actual schedule, does it overlap on the physical TIFF schedule? And then if it does, that usually means then at that 30 minutes at the end is accounting for a Q&A and like delays at the beginning. So you could probably
so there's some hope.
There's some hope. Any of those public screenings tend to always have an extra 30 minutes tacked on to the end. So you can make that work in your schedule a lot more if you don't care about sticking around.
Great to know. So maybe I don't have to sell a ticket. We'll see. Yeah.
But all the theaters are so close. They're like all in like a little block radius. So
yeah, that's what I didn't realize because I've only ever been to Sundance and I've been to Sundance with you guys. And that, as fun as it is, it's kind of chaotic because you have to bus everywhere. Maybe you have to walk, like maybe you have to go Salt Lake City, whatever it is. So that the fact that's all packed into one couple blocks is awesome.
Yeah,
so
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really incredible that like they're able to pack so much into what feels like 3 city blocks. As opposed to any other festival I've been to, it's the one that feels the most like condensed and like you're going to run into people. Because as you mentioned with Sundance, you're bussing all around Park City. With New York, you round a corner and you're just like in New York City. Even South by, it is a little bit extended, but between or I guess it should be the Roy Thompson is probably the farthest one out.
Yeah, but it's just down a little bit. It's like literally just in that park that you see there, that David Square. Yeah, exactly. It's right there. It's basically the same spot.
So you got Roy Thompson, you got the Royal Alexandra, you got the Princess of Wales right there, TIFF Lightbox another block away, and then Scotiabank just a couple blocks up. It's very convenient, very easy as a festival goer to run from one movie to the next, provided that, especially if you got that like assigned seating, then you don't really have to worry about it either.
For sure.
But
As long as you show up by the time the movie starts, otherwise they will start giving seats away to people in the rush line. But they will filter people into empty sections first. So if you have that like one random seat in the middle, you don't have to worry as much. You can just you know, make your way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So you should be fine. You should be okay.
Hopefully.
A lot to get excited about. A lot to be anticipated for. Chase, any last questions, or should we wrap up our TIFF preview?
Oh man, this is the end. I joined right at the end. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you snagged
No, it's okay.
I mean, I will give a quick shout out to Jane Coppitz, who mentions that Will and Harper looks good. Amanda, did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. I ended up catching it. Yeah.
Amanda and I both caught that when we were at Sundance, and I think we both really enjoyed it. Even though
I caught it after. I caught it after.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But
glad that you caught up with it. Yeah, I'm really excited for more people to catch up with it. I bawled like a baby and laughed very, very hard at that movie. It's very effective. I just didn't mention it because we already caught it at Sundance. But yeah, another.
I guess then going off of that, are there any movies that you saw at Sundance that are going to TIFF that you think are a must watch for somebody like me?
Interesting.
Is it only Will and Harper?
That's what I'm trying to think. There's not like a ton of overlap this year.
It's usually con overlap. Usually that's and there's a ton of that. And then Venice, obviously.
Yeah, and Amanda normally comes in having seen like half the lineup because she did con. And this year you have to play a little bit of catch up.
I do. It's a bummer, but that's okay.
Are there any like sleeper hits that you guys have that you think could be big? Because I have my eyes on 140 Acres. I don't know if you guys looked into that.
Yeah, that one's getting
super interesting.
Buzz.
Don't know
that
if
one's
good,
getting.
But
yeah,
I think that's my sleeper pick.
I hope that one's good. I think my sleeper pick might be Harbin, which is it's by the same cinematographer who did like Burning and
right.
Oh my god, I can't remember, but a couple of other things. But it's like some kind of like historical war type thing. I'm totally blanking. I don't know why, but
he also did Parasite.
Parasite. Thank you. I was like,
he seems like he's Bong Joon-ho's guy. He's Mother and Snowpiercer, the cinematographer.
Yeah. So it's basically like an army militia is basically trying to fight against Japanese soldiers, but it's like one dude is kind of in like this very deep mission. It looks good. It looks interesting. And just anybody who's like Bong's dude, I'm like, okay, let's go.
Definitely. Right.
Yeah.
I mentioned a couple that are a little under the radar. Another one that I'm curious about, but again, I just need to find some time in the schedule for it, is Flow. This is one of the few animated movies that's playing the festival. And I believe, what was it? Finland or Iceland or maybe Latvia was selected it as their selection for the Oscars this year already. But look, it's a bunch of cute animals working together. That's being a nice break from all the serious movies we're bound to see at the festival, right?
For sure.
I don't know, man. I see animated animals that are anime. I'm like, this could be very bad. This could be very sad.
Yeah, that's true. It did get into TIFF for a reason, right?
Exactly.
One thing that I will just sort of point out as like a potential thing to note, right? There was sort of a discussion around Rebel Wilson's directorial debut,
the Deb,
because apparently the producers didn't want it to play at TIFF, and she came out and said she wanted it to play at TIFF or whatever. It ended up being selected as the closing night film of the festival.
Why would you not want your movie to play at TIFF?
Well, so my takeaway from it is that they maybe are looking at the not amazing history of closing night films at TIFF. I was trying to look back at the last few that were there, and none of them are particularly notable. I feel like they're all movies that basically cease to exist by the time that the festival ends. Dollyland was one from a couple years ago. They're often like very not splashy titles, which sort of brings me to a rule that I've made for myself in terms of following releases at TIFF. If the movie is set to world premiere, not North American premiere, not Canadian premiere, if it's set to world premiere after the first weekend of the festival, the festival doesn't have confidence in the movie. And I don't know if this is like a hard, fast rule to follow, but if you think about the way that these festivals work, most of the attending press and the big people who come to town, you'll see that a lot of them are gone by like that first Monday. They're there for those first few days of the festival. So that's when things are getting seen, things are put in front of critics. So if the movie is not screening by that first Monday, unless it's already played like Venice and Telluride or something like that, it might be a bad sign. It might be worth paying attention to, might be worth watching out for. That's just my little like thing I noted last year. And I'm curious to see whether or not that stays true for this year's festival.
I don't know. I just saw Rebel Wilson acting, directing in a musical. And then I decided that's okay. And I like Rebel Wilson. No hate to her, but it's just like, this isn't feeling like Anna Kendrick acting and directing in a movie. This is feeling a little bit different. And I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, I we'll see. It's not certainly not like anything guaranteed, but it's something to consider at the very least. So
if you guys want to wait 3 hours in the rush line for me, I'll do it for the dev. I'm down.
That's the thing. You probably with your press thing, you'll probably be really good if you just keep going in the morning of at 8 a.m. The tickets will just start appearing again, and you can just be like,
sweet.
Like I got into that Taylor Swift thing that literally broke Ticketmaster 2 years ago. The morning of.
Really? That's crazy.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And I saw Glass Onion. There was like 200 empty seats that they just started funneling. It's like I think they messed up and didn't release the Visa Infinite tickets to those for them to buy. So those seats were empty. So then suddenly they're just funneling in people from the rush line after the movie's already started. So
especially if you're talking about screenings that are in the Princess of Wales, the Royal Alexandra Theatre, the Roy Thompson Hall. Those are very big venues that are really designed for like live theater or music and stuff like that. They can hold a lot of people. And as we've been mentioning, there are tickets that they reserve for friends and family, for Visa card holders, for stuff like that. So there are usually opportunities to pick up a ticket a little bit later. We got a question in the live stream from Wiley asking if F1 will be there, the upcoming Brad Pitt movie. They did not announce it. And I don't think TIFF normally does like surprise screenings, although it'd be nice to get a surprise screening of some kind of bigger release or something like that. But yeah, no F1. I saw Ford versus Ferrari there in 2019. 2019 was a really good year. Yeah.
Great year.
Tyler Appleby says The Shrouds and Oh Canada, a couple other exciting movies from legendary filmmakers.
I've heard horrible things about both of them, though.
Yeah, they did not get great reviews out of Cannes.
I am seeing The Shrouds, and I'll make time for Oh Canada, but I heard horrible things about Oh Canada.
All that being said, Schrader is a filmmaker who tends to get divisive reviews, so like maybe you should know what you're getting into with the Schrader movie. Both those movies are playing in New York, so I am gonna at least wait for them to watch them. I'm so lucky. I know. What else? I think that just about wraps what we're doing for our preview, but if anybody else has any questions about TIFF, be sure to hit us up on social media at Intercut Pod or any of our handles, and we can hopefully update you on during the fest or on social media, whatever it is. I don't know. Amanda, Chase, thank you both for joining us for the 2024 TIFF preview. Chase, where can people find more from you?
My name right below right there. You can find it on YouTube. Talking about movies. First time going to a festival as press. I kind of just shot my shot, and if that'll teach you anything, I kind of started taking it seriously over the past couple months. So if you're watching this and you want to go to one of these things as press, I didn't think I had a shot in hell, and here we are. You know what I mean? So just make a couple videos, shoot your shot, see what happens. You never know. So that's my best advice.
Nice. Appreciate that. Amanda, where can people find more from you?
You can find me all over the place at Amanda the Jedi, but mostly on YouTube.
And I'm sure we'll be getting a bunch of fun TIFF coverage from you soon. So be sure to look out for that. I'm at Zshevich across social media or at Multiplex Show, wherever you find videos. And of course, right here at Intercut Pod, where we'll be continuing to post our coverage from TIFF. We'll hopefully have some reviews during the festival and definitely a big recap once the festival's over, hopefully with both of my guests today, if they can find some time. But yeah, keep it locked. Hopefully, you know the places: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever they are. I do this outro enough. Quick shout out to our patrons who are cool and help continue to support
Very
the show and
cool.
enable what we do and make sure we could go to festivals like TIFF on the Academy level. There, Tushar, Cademan, Connor, Josh, May, Ricky, Joe, Wiley, Benji, Matt, and Jeremy. And the producer level patrons are Yuden Veer, Toon, and Brandon G. Huge thanks to all of them. A reminder, you too can become a patron by visiting patreon.com/intercutpod or by clicking the join button if you're watching us live on YouTube. To support the show for as little as $3 a month and get all sorts of awesome benefits. But that's about all for this edition of Intercut. And until next time, I'll see you in line at the Princess of Wales. Or maybe at Hey Lucy. Might be a little more
Ooh,
fun.
Hey Lucy, I'm real excited for that.